Hey traders, checking in on the stock market today. So we're keeping an eye out for temporary daily bounces to top out, but we're not getting any clear indication in our major sectors aside from a few. We do have some names standing out clearly as weaker. There's a couple trade setups that we're watching. Let's check in on the markets. So looking at the S&P 500 futures chart, this is definitely a channel, bigger picture that I'm keeping an eye on. And the question that we have over the coming couple of days, keeping in mind we do not have trading on Monday with a holiday, are we going to see a SPY S&P 500 lower high compared to the all-time high and tightening range? Or are we V-shaping to a new all-time high? We certainly know we can V-shape. We've done it many times in the past, but that's what we're watching in the short term. And as far as today is concerned, 4-hour consolidation took place today, but there's no major red flags. If we look at it on SPY, it was an hourly pullback on the morning. Let's put up extended hours as well. So we had a pullback on the morning, but knowing that we did not consolidate on the hourly at any point yesterday, and knowing that we're seeing a small gap up open in response to the CPI numbers, we can say the next time we consolidate on the hourly, we are extremely likely to form an hourly high or low. So that tells me I'm probably not going to get the information that I need to determine that the top of the daily bounce is set the next time we consolidate on the hourly. What it would need to be would be a big enough pullback to anticipate an hourly lower high, and then the bears confirm the hourly downtrend from there. So that means two things. Number one, with the open this morning, aggressive bears are scouting hourly consolidation. Anytime, unless there's a fundamental catalyst, anytime that you have a gap up open and the preceding day you did not see hourly consolidation, aggressive bears are going to be scouting that entry for a day trade for that hourly consolidation. And you also know you're not going to be buying bullish on a gap up open in most scenarios. So patient bulls are waiting for 5 and 15 minute oversold conditions, scouting an hourly high or low. So we had weakness this morning. Started actually pretty strong, rolled over, 5-minute oversold back burner bounce. And not your typical back burner. And actually, I probably wouldn't call it a back burner. We're not coming from an extreme bullish scenario. But the 5-minute oversold conditions on QQQ and SPY, the first time we hit them, marked our hourly higher lows, which is best case scenario for bulls. That is the strongest uptrend. Your strongest uptrends have 5-minute oversold marking hourly higher lows. It has hourly oversold marking daily higher lows. And once you hit that point, you don't breach it on the way down. That's the higher low, and then you keep going. Those are your strongest uptrends. So seeing the size of this bounce from first 5-minute oversold conditions on SPY and QQQ, that made me a little bit less confident that we were going to set the bounce high today. And so we ended up closing with a tightening range and a 30-minute equilibrium. If the 30-minute equilibrium breaks bear tomorrow, daily top of the bounce is set, we scout a higher low, anything above 456.60, and we see if the bulls can maintain that higher low support. NASDAQ, significant bounce, a lot of space for the daily lower high. Let's just go with QQQ here. And again, the way I've been trading recently is I look at both. I look at SPY and QQQ and the hourly, and I look at the futures charts and the 4 hours. Sometimes the 4-hour futures chart gives me information that the regular hourly charts on the regular ETF names don't give me. So I look at both. And on QQQ, it was the same deal. Gap up open. I know we're watching for hourly consolidation, but I know we're looking for an hourly higher low as well. First 5-minute oversold conditions, very significant bounce. I did end up shorting, and I just lucked out as far as nailing the top, but I shorted here because I was scouting the hourly lower high. Because again, if we are going to set that daily lower high in this scenario, it's an hourly lower high and a lower low, confirming the downtrend and noting the very clear shift in momentum. So I got a great short entry on SQQQ, and we pulled back, and at that point, I needed to close near the low of the day to swing it, because that would be bears proving to me, okay, we're watching for that hourly downtrend, and it's close to taking shape. And I exited that position in the last 15 minutes. I said, this looks like a little bit of a falling wedge here, and as soon as we broke bull, I'm not going to swing it. It's not convincing enough. That's too gambly for me. It's entirely possible it could have worked out, but it's just a 30-minute tightening range, just like the S&P 500. So it was just a small win, nothing notable. And I approached today with that mindset. I traded XBI twice, once in each direction. We'll go over that in a second. And then I took that trade, 3 trades today, and they were a half a day maker, a quarter day maker, and a quarter day maker. And that's just me trying to get that base hit mindset. And I talked about why in the video yesterday, trying to just get my routine, get my flow back to try and get that consistency back. So I approached today just looking for little wins, and it felt real good. So hopefully that continues. And QQQ, if we confirm the hourly downtrend by breaking the low of today, tomorrow, top of the bounce is set. QQQ bulls have more proving to do. SPY still has those higher lows and that uptrend support line, and QQQ does have longer term uptrend support lines still holding, but considering we took out these supports, we've got to change the daily trend back to the bulls on QQQ. And we need it with a clear higher low and higher high. The cryptocurrency space is bouncing in the same way. Right now it's doing the same thing. I am interested in the cryptocurrency stocks because I'm scouting a monthly higher low. On MARA, anything above 1832 is a monthly higher low. There's tons of space to work with, and we've pulled back over 60% already. So I'm looking at this daily chart, and I'm just watching for a sign of a daily trend change setup or some kind of bottom fish play or some kind of falling wedge, and just keeping a close eye. But the reason I'm talking about this now as a bit of a sidetrack is because Bitcoin is doing the same daily bounce as SPY and as QQQ, and it has to confirm a daily trend change for a shift in momentum as we scout a monthly higher low. SMH. So SMH, significant bounce, indecision doji. It's possible that we're marking our top of the daily bounce here, but if we're going to prove it, we have to break the low of today, tomorrow to confirm the hourly downtrend. And if we do, we then have our lower high, and we scout a higher low compared to the low where we came from, knowing the bulls must confirm the trend change to regain that control. And again, that's what we're watching for on NVDA and everybody. So just looking for a lower high here. And bears are going to be out tomorrow scouting it. They were scouting it today. And if we break lows of today, tomorrow, those lower highs will be set. And again, some names clearly weaker than others. TSM continues to stand out a bit stronger. Look at this move on the last couple of days. TSM, massive bounce. There's a lot of volatility here. 7% bounce the last couple of days. I guess it's a little bit deceiving. NVDA wasn't that far. Yeah, it was even more. So there's an example where TradingView can sometimes be deceiving. That looks like a much weaker bounce, doesn't it? But it's just the scaling, and it's the y-axis on the chart. So it's always worth double checking and measuring. But this bounce, percentage-wise, was more significant than this bounce. Again, very deceiving. But we are well above our lows, and we're close to recent highs, certainly much closer to recent highs than NVDA currently is. So keeping an eye on the semiconductors to be similar to QQQ. We got Tesla with a solid bull day today. EV names in general, NIO had a real good day. So for Tesla, we're scouting a lower high compared to 1208. The hourly uptrend is our guide, and we've got space for an hourly higher low to form from where we stand right now. But even if we see another green day, we're still going to be scouting a top of the bounce to be set. Just have to ensure that we're not trying to short every single day and stopping out and taking big losses. We just have to be calculated, have those top fish levels, have clear defined risk and reward. NIO with a big day today, daily equilibrium shaping up nicely, scouting the daily lower high, anything under 33.80. But again, it's another day where bulls were helped by the Chinese names up as well. BABA, continuation of its bounce. This was a nice bottom on BABA. I'm kicking myself a little bit because right here on the news that Charlie Munger doubled his position, I literally pulled up an order in the 120 area as I was about to buy, and then I thought, I'm about to go on vacation. I'm about to be away from the computer. I don't want to care what the market is doing whatsoever. I'm not buying. And obviously, in hindsight, that would have been a nice 10 to 15%. But if I'm looking for a longer term entry from here, I'm scouting the weekly higher low once we top out and using that double bottom 108, 110 as a stop level. Let's see what the earnings reaction is. But definitely a shift underway. Question is, can that shift stick? Looking at the monthly chart, monthly bounce is underway. Bears have had absolute control for over a year, and we're watching for that to change. Baidu continuation as well. Baidu is definitely a stronger chart. And watching for the weekly trend change here as well. XLV, healthcare daily inside bar. Again, we're watching for a daily lower high to be the result of this bounce, but the inside bar would have to break bear for that to take shape. And if we break 136.83, bulls keep control of the bounce. So watching for a loss of the hourly uptrend, scouting daily lower highs. I have a bear lean. I had a bear lean this morning, and I'm going to have a bear lean tomorrow, scouting these daily lower highs. Financial sector, pretty much a higher low every day for the last 8 days in a row now. Not exactly, because we broke support by 4 pennies here, but for me, that's something I just ignore. And I can call that a stair-step pattern. 4 pennies is nothing, and clearly, bulls still in control, up at all-time highs, but there's a trade setup that I'm keeping an eye on with a sector that is correlated to the financial sector, but is weaker. So I'm watching for daily consolidation in XLF to make the bear trade on the travel sector. And I'm watching Jets and CCL. So what is the trade setup? Was scouting it this morning, and we had decent volatility. CCL had a big drop this morning, but the bulls did recover. There's your big drop, V-shaped bounce, give it all back and double bottom at the low of the day. So tons of volatility there. That's 3%, 3%, 3%. So chopping around, but why I'm watching this sector is because it's got rising wedges forming. Bigger picture. So these are all the factors. So I'm scouting a weekly lower high. For me, anything under 25.29 is a weekly lower high on CCL. Okay, I know that's what I'm looking for. 4-hour time frame looks to me like a rising wedge. Why am I looking for a rising wedge? Because we had a resistance level here of 21.80 that was a double top. We broke it by a few percent straight into consolidation. The day it broke, we start the consolidation. We then double top just under that level. And then again today, we break it, but no real follow through. Now tomorrow could come around and the bulls could get followed through, and that would invalidate this bearish setup for me. If we get a bull move up to 22.70, then I'm going to be a lot less interested. But if we don't, it's a rising wedge I'm keeping an eye on. And what I would like to see, I'm actually shifting my focus. Today I was watching both CCL and Jets, but I'm looking at Jets now more because Jets is weaker. But this is a potential rising wedge. So again, it's something we're keeping a close eye on. Because if XLF consolidates from here, this sector is not positioned well for it. Let's see how we're correlated here to XLF. So we got the 15-minute time frame. I hate when it does that. Loses my place. I know there's a button to skip all the way to the front, but I forget it right now. So we've got CCL 15-minute time frame on the left here. You mother lover. And we've got, don't tell me it just did it again. All right, we're not doing it. Just believe me, there's some correlation there. So that's CCL's version. Now let's look at Jets. So Jets, same deal as far as weekly perspective. I'm scouting a top of this weekly bounce. We haven't changed the weekly trend. We are coming off of lows. I zoom into the 4-hour time frame, and it looks like a rising wedge to me. Today, we were weaker. Again, look at this resistance zone. We have 22.32. We break it by 7 pennies, pull back. And then today, we double top at that level. We broke it by 2 pennies and then pulled back, closing fairly weak. So I look at this and say, okay, I know we're correlated to XLF. I've been watching that correlation for 2 years since COVID happened. If XLF starts daily consolidation, I would expect Jets to roll over and test 21.45 support. So I am scouting. We had an hourly bear flag confirm into the end of the day. Not a whole lot of follow through, but again, XLF is not really showing us any meaningful weakness at this point. We have to see XLF help the bears on these sectors. So that's something I'm watching over the next couple of days. Ideally, it would be the whole market pulling back, but really I'm just focused on XLF. Energy sector. Energy sector. So energy sector is just like XLF, extremely strong, stair-step pattern, higher low every day for 8 days. So we are watching for that pattern to be lost. We're seeing this strength because the oil bulls are breaking out in a big way and just hit fresh highs, many month highs. Natural gas is now breaking out. We'll look at those in just a second. But XLE is benefiting from XLF correlation as well. But again, we know it's due for consolidation. So there are two different ways to be looking short. You can be looking to short the weaker names. XBI was a very clear lead bear all day today. From literally the first 3 minutes, we could say it's a lead bear. We'll look at that in just a second. So I can look at the lead bears or I can look at the lead bulls. And you don't want to be a new trader trying to short lead bulls. But if you are an experienced trader, you can definitely get yourself in good risk reward scenarios. We know we're going to consolidate on the daily time frame in XLE. It's just a question of when. So if we have a setup that favors small risk and decent reward, then there is a potential short there. And it's just the stair-step pattern that we're watching at this point with a higher low every day. IWM, a little bit weaker. Daily EMA 12 rejection. Hourly time frame, significant pullback. So we knew that an hourly lower high was the most likely result of this bounce because of the size of that drop. Again, we didn't lose the hourly uptrend on that drop. Anything above the low of yesterday is an hourly high or low, but it was a big enough pullback that we can then scout the lower high. Now the bears just have to prove it tomorrow. They got to break 214.64 to confirm the hourly downtrend. If lows of today on SPY, QQQ, IWM, XLF, if they hold tomorrow, then the answer is going to be, nope, not yet. Bounce hasn't topped out yet. Bulls are still keeping control. So the lows of today must break to confirm these hourly downtrends to start that daily consolidation. And right now, IWM is not looking very strong. So bulls are hoping that this is not our lower high, but if the low of today breaks, we're going to be looking right back down at 210, make that 211.11 and 208.76. So this is not a very impressive bounce at this point. Biotech sector, daily bear flag is in play. Said if we can't get over 107.40, the bears keep complete control. Why did it stand out today as a lead bear literally from the first 2 minutes? I think one of the first things I said in the live stream once 9:30 rolled around is XBI is our lead bear. And the reason was everybody's gapping up on the CPI numbers. SPY, IWM, QQQ, individual names, Tesla, NVDA. They're all opening above their high of yesterday. XBI is opening below its high of yesterday. It's a clear top fish. If we can't break 105.05, we're not going anywhere. And we topped out first thing at 104.70. That was in the first couple minutes. And then we rolled over, and the bears kept control from there. It was a nice stair-step pattern today where we had stair-step on the way down, lower high every single candle. Google stair-step chart guides if you don't know what I'm talking about. Lower high every single candle. That pattern breaks at 101.75. That's your trigger. We then go up over $1. So it gives a nice 1% follow-through signal. Risk to reward, not ideal, just because if you're entering at 101.75, you're risking 75 cents before stopping out, and your reward is, 1.5 that. But then we had a short. So again, stair step up, higher low every single candle. That pattern breaks at 102.42. That's your trigger, and we roll over into the new low of the day. And you say, so what? 1%, who cares? The leverage ETFs are going 3% when XBI goes 1%. Great volatility in both directions in this sector constantly. That'll change at some point. This sector will get boring at some point, and the leveraged ETFs won't see nearly as much volatility. But take advantage of this. I look every day. If I don't know what I'm trading, what's XBI doing? I can find a trade in there. So this was nice in both directions. I ended up playing the bounce. Forget exactly where my trades were, but played the bounce. I didn't wait for the 15-minute stair step. I was in before that. And sold a bit early. I sold on this initial leg up. And I did a tiny short here. Probably this short. And that was my quarter day maker. No real follow through. But some good signals. And here we are looking at our lows. If $100 breaks, we remain the weakest major sector. It's not a major sector, but one of the weakest semi-major sectors. If 100 breaks, we're looking at 96.92 and then 89.24. And we are joining growth names as far as bears having complete control for the last 9 months. Nice bounces mixed in there, but look at ARKK. We're definitely doing very similar things here to the growth names that have been struggling. PTON, growth names struggling in a big way. Man, I knew when that run was going on. What do you mean this bike company is up at 171 going straight up? I won't ever trade on fundamentals, but my gut was right on that one. MSOS. So MSOS had a volume spike today out of nowhere. And a lot of people saying, what is this? Is it news? We had some individual smaller cap names halt because there was volatility. And honestly, to me, it just looks like someone market bought, even if it was just like $1 million, market bought these lower cap names. VRNOF was one of them, triggering a halt because it ran up 10% plus. That was even more. Yeah, 10% plus move in 1 5-minute candle. That just shows you how illiquid these names are. So when the cycle shifts and when supply shifts and demand outweighs supply, we know the sector will move well. But we don't have any catalyst to shift that sentiment at this point. But that's just a nice little glimpse. 1 5-minute candle, and in this instance, you're looking at $1 million. This is $1 million 5-minute candle going 10%. So what if news comes out, things will get wild? No news anytime recently, but anytime there's buyout news in the sector, that's going to be, for me, an automatic market buy of peers of whoever it is. But in the end, I don't think it was anything significant. Someone may have even made a mistake. Maybe they meant to place a limit order. Maybe they didn't know it was illiquid. Maybe they were testing the water. I don't know. But in the end, there was no follow through. So MSOS is the same as far as anything under 2651 is a daily low or high, and the bulls must shape up a trend change with a higher low and higher high if we're going to see any kind of shift in momentum, because bears have been running the show for the last 11 months. Dollar, bear break. Monthly consolidation underway. So higher low every month for 7 months with that bear break. Good sign for crypto, commodities, stocks overall. Good sign, but we know we're scouting a monthly higher low. Well, we have to be watching big picture. Remember this 6-month time frame? Is our 6-month lower high being set? We don't have nearly enough information, but we're watching for it because anything under 103 is a 6-month lower high, and this pattern is 6 years in the making. And when this pattern breaks, it's going to be big. So what I would need to see for a 6-month lower high to be shaping up is a big enough monthly pullback. Again, we're anticipating a higher low is going to form. We got all the space in the world. But a big enough pullback to then set a monthly lower high next bounce and confirm the downtrend. Where does that look familiar? It's exactly what I just talked about on the hourly time frame for SPY and QQQ. Trading is the same on all time frames. So scouting a monthly higher low on the dollar. Keeping an eye out for daily oversold conditions. Daily downtrend will be a guide. Metals benefiting. So gold continuing its march up to resistance. Gold bears are scouting a top fish, but they need to see some dollar bounce to help with that. And now we've got that space for the daily higher low to try and form next time we consolidate. And I'm being very patient on these metals just because they're not very volatile. Silver is certainly more volatile, but I don't feel any rush. If I miss the trade, it's the kind of thing where, it'd be nice to have a long-term bullish setup for gold in an IRA where I just have cash sitting around. But if I miss it, it's the kind of thing where, I can make that percentage move. A big move on gold is going to be, a huge move is 10%. And some swings I have in crypto have gone 10% in 2 days. So that's my anti-FOMO as far as being real patient. And if I make a mistake, I'll miss the trade and I'll leave money on the table. And that's A-okay. Natural gas. So let's talk about the monthly time frame. Natural gas, monthly higher low is set. We've been scouting this for a couple weeks. This monthly pattern, I just had an epiphany today. I talked about it in the crypto video. I have not realized how much I've used this monthly setup in 2021 because it accounted for my largest stock swing trade and my largest crypto swing trades. Largest meaning biggest gainers. So how it played out, the chronological event is first things first, I saw NIO on the monthly time frame. Massive breakout to all-time highs, inevitable consolidation for a few months, holding EMA 12 and setting that monthly higher low. As that was happening, I was playing ARK for that monthly higher low. And I had a real good entry, and that was my best swing trade. And I was in somewhere around 97, and I rode it up longer than I normally do. So that was my best swing trade of a stock. I didn't swing trade many stocks in 2021, so it's not anything special, but it was a really nice trade. And it was based on Massive breakout to all-time highs, multiple months of pullback to monthly EMA 12 to scout a monthly high or low. So I watched NIO do it. I got ARK when it did it. And then Bitcoin comes on down the line. And Bitcoin hadn't done it yet. And I said, I just watched this happen in growth stocks. I'm going aggressive. And I went aggressive on Bitcoin when 30,000 broke. And I then held the position all the way up to new all-time highs. I didn't sell at the top. I sold partial in the 60,000s. Then I sold more in the 50,000s, or the rest in the 50,000s. But it was because I watched it happen on growth. I just saw this pattern. And I don't anticipate, there's no correlation. It didn't happen because growth did it. It happened because it's the psychological setup as far as the size of the moves and, bots and algos using retracement sizes. But right off EMA 12, and that higher low was set. There are cryptos that we're going to be looking for the same thing. Different setup. Sol, look at this monthly. What is going to happen? Massive breakout to all-time highs, multiple months of pullback. We're going to set a monthly high or low, and there's going to be a great entry opportunity. And I'm watching this falling wedge to potentially help with that. Aside from that, natural gas. Why was I looking for a monthly high or low in natural gas over the past few weeks? Again, I haven't traded natural gas in 2 years. I didn't make $1 on this, but hopefully somebody did. Same thing. Massive breakout. It's not all-time highs, but that doesn't matter. It's a massive many-month breakout. Big pullback over many months to monthly EMA 12. Again, it's not right off monthly EMA 12. That's just our visual guide to know, okay, it's time to start paying attention and looking for that shift. And it was the break of 420, and then the bulls turned on the jets. Where's our resistance after 420? There's nothing. And the bulls taking advantage of that. We will need a weekly trend change at this point. We'll need to top out. We'll need a higher low and a higher high. And I'm probably going to anticipate a monthly lower high to be the result of this bounce. But I know that at some point in the future, 2 years, 7 years from now, I'm going to be using the same pattern. Monthly breakout, all-time highs, scout the monthly higher lows. Maybe it'll be the psychedelic sector coming off all-time highs when Canada has fully legalized psychedelic therapies, and it now is part of the biotech sector and pharmaceuticals. And then it trickles down into the US, and state by state, they start legalizing it. And we run massively, and then we look for those monthly higher lows. TradingView did its best to make me flip out, but I kept my cool. Do good things. See you tomorrow. Adventure time. We are headed to Vegas. This is Lake Mead, which is about a half hour outside of Vegas, I believe, which you certainly wouldn't expect just by looking at it. But a great spot to camp. I camped here and had a coyote experience where certainly I've heard coyotes off in the distance in the past, but man, when that sun went down and I'm out there by myself, and I swear there were 100 surrounding me, all doing their yipping and wailing that sounds like screaming, dying children. It was quite the experience. Certainly have never experienced anything like that before or since, but knowing that it was coyotes made me a little bit more comfortable. I certainly wasn't fearing them coming at me, but man, they are eerie. 2 days in a row, we got some eerie themes out there. So Lake Mead was pretty cool. Nice moon. And it's just a spot to hang out and cool off during the hot, arid day. But I was in Vegas, and I don't have any pictures of Vegas because I don't like Vegas at all. So I was visiting my friends. My buddy's there playing poker. I've been playing poker since high school. He and I played in college, and he was playing online full time. And he pretty much went poker, and I went technical analysis and stocks. And I tried to teach him when I was there, but he was more interested in poker. So we played together. And for those that are familiar with poker, my style, I do play some buy-in, but generally I would satellite in, $50 satellite to get into a $500 tournament and then hope to place in those tournaments. And the best part is, we're used to trading online or playing online, and you have to wait weeks or months to get your payouts, if you can even get them, if it's even, legal. And I have in the past, or someone I know in the past has paid 20% of my withdrawal from winning a tournament to someone in China to get the payout, transfer funds over to the US. And those are what we had to do to get our money. But here in Vegas, they legalized it in Nevada. So you could literally cash out and go same day to a casino and they would give you cash, which was unheard of. So we were playing for a while and having a good time and doing all right. And I hung out there for, like I said, a month. It was just a reset break, have a nice shower, have some good food, and have a bed to sleep in, and just explore around, because I could not. I mean, Las Vegas is pretty much, if you take everything wrong with humanity and you just put it in one, that's Las Vegas. It's a dirty, sad place. And you see all the glamour on TV and in the movies at the fancy places on the strip. But man, if you go to some of these smaller casinos and the poor souls that are stuck to those machines, it's very depressing. And if I didn't have spots like this to go to, I would not have lasted very long at all. I literally didn't go to the strip at night in Vegas once. I was there for a month and I didn't go to the strip, and I have no regrets about that. That's just me personally. I'm not big for flashing lights and crazy stimulation and substance abuse and all that, but it was fun, kinda. This is Spring Mountain National Rec Area, another spot that's just right outside of Vegas. And I couldn't find a spot to camp that was flat, so I ended up sleeping on a hill. And of course, it was the first night I slept without my tent because I couldn't pitch it on a hill. And I slept without a tent all the time on my other road trip with my buddies. But the first time I sleep without a tent, this was months into the road trip, and of course it snows on me, but waking up, it was nice and magical. I pretty much just put myself against the base of a tree so I wouldn't roll down the hill. But still slept fine. Some awesome sunrises and sunsets out there. And I love it's almost like shopping for a house every night, where you're walking around and saying, all right, I can camp anywhere in this area. Where's the best view? Where's the sun going to rise? Where's the sun going to set? Where's the best spot to camp? And setting up a home base. So from here now, my buddy and I, who I was staying with, we are going to road trip back. This is as far west as I went, and then heading back east and going through Zion. I think we go to Zion National Park next, and then loop around, head through the south, through Texas, back to the East Coast. Wrapping up the road trip, didn't have a whole lot. Pretty much moved really fast on the way home versus the way out there. And that's that. We'll see where we end up. Probably a couple more days on this road trip, maybe a couple more road trips after that. Short little picture series, and then I'm going to have to start doing some videos again, and hopefully some spring planting. Got some garden planting parties going on tonight, so we're getting pumped for the spring, and I hope you are fantastic.